Identify ways in which church wins people for the kingdom.
So identify ways in which, that's a lesson. No, it's an identify question, evaluate. So identify ways in which the church wins people to the kingdom. Now, you have to deduce. You have first of all to know, you have been told to identify. You have to know the meaning of identifying. You have to know the meaning of the church, and you have to know the meaning of winning. How is the church winning the people to Christ, to the kingdom? By preaching, through singing of songs, through composing of poetry, through writing of magazines, and those are the ways in which the church is winning the people to the kingdom. The church has to use innovative ways because the church is changing, the Christians are changing. So the church has to use innovative ways to bring the Christians. Remember, there are also Christians who do not go to church, or there are Christians who do not have strong faith. How will you bring these Christians to church? By using innovative ways. You can use print media, you can use songs, you can use electronic media, you can use preaching, prayers, and the rest, and composing of the songs. That is the way the church is winning, ways in which the church wins people, that is Christians, to the kingdom. Yeah.
Okay, there is another question from Sunrise Secondary School. They're asking, would you please elaborate on why the church is against cloning?
This particular issue of cloning, and as I'm still insisting, is that for all of us as candidates, before we do our exam, let us revisit that particular topic on issues related with modern science and technology. And under issues related to modern science and technology, I insisted that you have to know about plastic surgery, euthanasia, organ transplant. You have to know about genetic engineering, and cloning comes with genetic engineering. And I think you should also understand the meaning of cloning. Most students do not understand the meaning of cloning. This is a process that is done. It is a process of, it is a division of cells that is done in the lab. It's done in the laboratory, whereby the cells are divided in such a way that they are then divided and merged, and they can be able to form different human beings, and who can even have the same particular characteristics. So why the church is against cloning, I said that the church is against cloning because, number one, it is going against the work of God of creation. God is the one who should create, not a human being. When a human being divides a cell, it means that a human being is trying and experimenting to create. And as human beings are creating, they can create human beings with no feelings. Another point that I can insist on why it is the church is against cloning is that cloning allows experiments. It gives mandate to evil experiments to human beings who can destroy life. Life is holy, is divine according to God. And when we are dividing these cells, we can kill the embryo. Another point is that it is dehumanizing the work of human beings, the reproduction part of it. It should be sexual reproduction, whereby a woman and a man should come together and produce a child. And when it is done in the laboratory outside, it is wrong. Another point I said is going against the mandate of human beings as co-creators. It is a human being who should co-create. So it is very wrong. Cloning is very wrong, and the church is against it. So I would advise you to read more concerning why the church. I'm insisting on this particular topic because I know students do not like this part of euthanasia, organ transplant, blood transfusion, euthanasia, plastic surgery, genetic engineering. Go back and revisit this topic very well. So those are the points I can give concerning why the church is against cloning. Thank you.
Okay, there is another question from Moyles Girls, and they are asking, identify rulers that govern participants during recreational activities in traditional African culture.
Yes, so identify rulers that govern participants during recreational activities in traditional African society. So this particular question comes from the topic leisure. And in leisure, remember, in leisure is free time. And free time, you can do anything. In leisure, in the traditional African community, they had rulers. We had elders. We had the grandparents. Those are rulers. We had the chiefs. And we had even we had spiritual rulers. We had spiritual rulers especially when they were going to be against, let's say, a taboo or something had happened in a community. We had spiritual rulers, and those spiritual rulers in the traditional African society were like diviners. Those were spiritual rulers, and they accepted in the so those rulers could be elders, they could be the diviners, spiritual leaders, they could be the grandparents. Those were rulers that could help to take care of the recreational activities in the traditional African society or community. Yes.
Okay, there is another question from kcse Secondary School. They're asking, if you are given a descriptive question and you get the content wrong, and question 2 asks you to give lessons learned from the incident you have described and get them right, will you earn marks, or will you earn marks for the lesson?
Yes. So I think this is a Swahili student who is talking, is confusing herself concerning Dondo in paper 3, whereby if you don't get question A, B is wrong automatically, isn't it? Yes. So here is C.R.E. Remember I said, I introduced myself and said, I'm going to talk about C.R.E. paper 2. And in C.R.E. paper 2, if you've been told to describe the parable of the Good Samaritan, and the second question is giving the lessons learned, if you've not described it, I'll assume that maybe it is because of time you did not describe. But if you give me the lessons learned and your points are in the marking scheme and they are correct, I will just mark for you. So it is correct. You are going to be given the mark. But I don't understand. I still encourage. I remember I asked you about reading and content mastery. I would advise this particular student that in as much as we are not going to follow the Kiswahili part of it, where A, B, and C, now this is C.R.E. paper 2, just make sure you learn about the description part of it, parables, the miracles of Jesus, and the rest. Make sure you just describe it. It's not something difficult when you read Luke's Gospel continuously. Thank you.
Okay, let us have a question from St. James Secondary School. Kindly, St. James, unmute your microphone and ask your question. St. James Secondary School.
Hey there, my name is Victor Njoki from St. James Secondary School.
Yes, go on.
I have to put in traditional African communities. Number 2, the news way bread wealth has been abused in modern societies.
No. Kindly, St. James, repeat your question. St. James.
Significance of bread wealth in traditional African communities.
St. James.
Which bread wealth has been in modern societies.
So that is from St. James. Thank you for your question. And you're asking about the significance of bride wealth in the traditional African society, and how that is secular world, how bride wealth has been abused, has changed. So the significance of bride wealth in the traditional African society, this one is under the topic marriage. And under marriage, we are going to have a place where we are going to have bride wealth. So as we are giving the bride wealth, it was a sign of, it was a seal. It was a seal. The first significance, it was that the bride wealth was used as a seal to show that now these two people are married. Another thing about the significance of the bride wealth is what it was a form of thanksgiving. You are thanking the parents of the girl for maybe taking care of the girl very well. Another significance of the bride wealth is to form friendship. To form friendship, at least you have appreciated us. So these two families were now going to be in a very good relationship. There's another significance of bride wealth that was being that was present in the traditional African societies to bring unity. So it was a form of unity. So they were going to be united after the bride wealth has been given. Today, this issue of bride wealth has changed, and I know you're talking about the secular part of it. It has been changed, or it has been abused. Actually, it has not been changed. It has been abused, whereby Even the girl's family will take it in form of money, whereby they give you in form of money and a lot of it. So people want to enrich themselves from the bride wealth. And also the boys' family are also, they have brought issues in such a way that they are asking themselves that they have also educated their children. So why should they also, so they exchange, we give them bride wealth and they also give us bride wealth. So that is abuse, because the real meaning of the bride wealth from the beginning was that the girl, that is why we have quality of a good wife. So the girl was supposed to take care of herself, actually chastity, whereby the girl was now to be pure in such a way that she was supposed to be married to the husband, and the husband was supposed to love her and appreciate her. So it has really been abused. Bride wealth has really been abused in the secular world, where people want to enrich themselves with money from the other side. And also others do it as a revenge from the boys' family. Maybe if they had grudges and wrangles before with the boys' family, so they take a chance to revenge so that they are given to make them pay for it. So it has been abused. So if you go back to your form 4 work, the topic marriage, there is the topic bride wealth and the secular world, how it has changed and how bride wealth has been abused. You're going to get more points concerning bride wealth. Thank you.
Okay, let us have another question from Katelebo Center of Excellence. Kindly, Katelebo Center of Excellence, unmute your microphone and ask your question.
Isaiah from Katelembo, and I have 3 questions. Number 1, is the use of pronouns to represent nouns while answering quizzes so as to avoid repetition wrong? And if yes, is grammar considered while answering questions? Question number 2, some books states that love is a gift of the Holy Spirit. Your view as the examiner. Question number 3, can you kindly elaborate the use of prose while answering? Do you write as a comprehension or write in point form? And or just ignore the numbering? Because as we have seen earlier, the question that you have given unto us, you are writing in point form. So just show us on how we are going to write in prose form. Thank you.
So I think I've got the question. I've got the question that the boy is asking. So the boy is asking about the use of pronouns, and can they be used? Can they be used in C.R.E. as you answering? And if yes, is grammar marked in C.R.E. paper 2? So what I can say is that it's like the question that the boy asked about paraphrasing. When you use those pronouns, it seems you're going to be, there are some things you leave out, isn't it? Yes, so as you don't leave out, don't use those pronouns. Just give me this, as long as it will be, just give me the story the way it is. Don't paraphrase and don't use don't use pronouns to shorten. As you're using the pronouns to shorten, you find that you're going to leave some points outside. You're going to leave the main points outside. So just give me the way it is. And I would say grammar is not marked. For example, you can give the spelling of synagogue in a wrong way. You're going to be given the point. If you say God and you're supposed to be saying God, or you saying Jesus and you're supposed to be saying Jesus, you're supposed to be saying laser and you're saying leisure, such kind of words. So grammar is not being marked. Whatever I insisted on is that don't confuse the characters. By characters, I insisted on the story of the dedication of Jesus that happened when Mary and Joseph went to the temple when Jesus was 8 days old, and there was a man there that was old. The name was Simeon, not Simon. So don't confuse the characters, but grammar is not marked. Love as a gift, we know very well that love, when you're talking about the gift of the Holy Spirit, you must go to the gifts that are aligned. The gifts that are aligned in your textbook. for me, I know that there's the gift of knowledge, there's the gift of prophecy, gift of speaking in tongues, gift of discerning spirits, gift of interpretation of the tongues and the rest. So whatever the other books are saying, I think sometimes you are not supposed to be ignoring. And as you are answering, make sure the points that you are sure of. What I would say, suppose you've been told to list the gifts of the Holy Spirit. Give me the points that you are sure of that are in your textbook. And by your textbook, we have the textbook that has been recommended by the ministry. And that textbook that has been recommended by the ministry is what we are using, and they are the gifts there. We have other textbooks that are written like the revision books. Yes, they are necessary, the revision books. But you as a student, you should reduce the points which are necessary because they are written with different people. Some of the revision books that you're using have not been certified. They have not been certified. So if they have not been certified, it means that somebody who needs money can write anything. So don't follow every revision book or every textbook that you get. Make sure you follow the textbook that has been recommended by the ministry. But what I can recommend about the textbook, there is the Top Mark 1 and 2, the old edition. Top Mark 1 and 2, the old edition. That one you can use it for the revision, not the new edition. Top Mark 1 and 2, the old edition, is always very good in revising of C.R.E. Yeah. So in writing, in answering using prose or statement form. So if you've been told to give, to state or to identify reasons why Jesus used parables in his preaching, the way I gave you, you have to start with Jesus. Jesus used parables to provoke his listeners. Jesus used these parables to hide his identity, to keep his ministry secret. Jesus used these parables to differentiate the serious seekers of the kingdom from the onlookers. So when you give it like that, that is a statement and it is a continuous prose. But don't just say identify serious seekers. Don't just say identify serious seekers, hide his identity. You are not giving the point. Make sure you give me in a statement. Jesus used parables to separate the serious seekers of the kingdom from the onlookers. There you're giving me the point. It is like when a student is told to give the functions of the Holy Spirit. Some of them say the Holy Spirit is a reminder, the Holy Spirit is a counselor. Is a counselor about what? Is the reminds us about what? The teachings of Jesus. The Holy Spirit is an advocate, counselor, comforter. The Holy Spirit affirms the works of Jesus. The Holy Spirit teaches us about the relationship between God and Jesus. So make sure you give me, don't just say the Holy Spirit is a counselor, is a guider. Is a guider about what? So that is the way to give in a prose form. Don't just state. Make sure you make me understand. And in the exam, what you're supposed to know is that make sure that the examiner assume that you are the one who knows. Show me how much you have read that Luke's gospel. Give me what you know. Don't assume that the examiner knows. I will not add the points for you. Give me and assume that the examiner does not know. It is like you are teaching me. So for me, I will be able to give you the points. That is how to answer in continuous prose or statement form. Thank you.
Okay, let us have another question from Catoloni Secondary School. Catoloni, can you unmute your microphone and ask your question?
Yeah, I'm Vobek from Catoloni. If you're asked a question like, I'm asking if you're asked a question like differentiate, what's the difference between, that's an example, the difference between Nehemiah and Jeremiah. And Jeremiah, is it good to write in a prose form and also if you are asked to advise, I'm asking, can you as an examiner, can you advise me in which type of question should I answer in prose form and which one I should not?
Okay. So I understand your question, and the boy has given the question and is referring to, or is just given an example about Nehemiah and Jeremiah, and I think he needs more clarity concerning how to give differences. And when you're giving, I said when you're giving differences, you're supposed to use whereas or while. Whereas or while. So for example, the differences between Nehemiah as a prophet and Jeremiah as a prophet, all of us know about Nehemiah is the most prayerful prophet and Jeremiah is the most suffering prophet. So Nehemiah was the most prayerful prophet, while Jeremiah was the most suffering prophet. Don't explain so much, but the point comes out. We also know that Nehemiah had there are different during Nehemiah's time. There were different people who opposed Nehemiah in his mission. And during Jeremiah's time, we had people like Tobias and Sanballat and the rest. So you have to tell me about Jeremiah. Jeremiah had people who opposed him, the specific people who are mentioned, like Tobiah and Sanballat, while during Nehemiah's time, these people are not mentioned and the rest. So these are you have to answer in prose form. As you are giving differences, answer in prose form, but use whereas or while to give it one sentence. Don't draw a table to give differences. That is what I said it is no. You either use whereas or while to connect your points. And for me, he's also asking about clarity. Which kind of questions should you answer in prose form, and which kind of questions should you answer like you should state, especially the questions where you've been told to state or list names. You have to list when you're giving the names of the 12 disciples. If you're told to list any 12 disciples of Jesus, or any 10, or any 8, or any 5 disciples of Jesus, you will have to give the names. But remember, there are other names. There are different, like Judas, Matthew. You have to give the names the way they are. And when you've been asked to give the names that Isaiah gave to the the names that are named, that Jesus was given in the prophecies of Isaiah, such particular question where you have been told to give names, that one you just have to state or list the names. But sometimes they'll tell you to give, let's say, visions, or when you have been told to give or state any gifts of the Holy Spirit. So that one you will not say wisdom. Just read the question, and if you are told to give any or list any 5 gifts of the Holy Spirit, you will not say wisdom. You have to say the gift of wisdom, the gift of speaking in tongues, the gift of interpretation of tongues, the gift of prophesying. So if you say just prophesying, you are not coming out clearly. So in that particular question, when you read the question, you will see the difference. There's a question that you are required to give in a statement form, like that one you've been told to give the gifts. If you've been told to list the names, you just give the names. Like the question visions, if you've been told to list or state any visions of Amos, you cannot say destruction of the altar, swarm of locusts. You have to say the vision of. That is how you're supposed to be answering. Thank you.